Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Brandy's Audiobooks. Today, I will be starting a book called Kill Game, and I believe it's the fourth book called A Cold Poker Gang Mystery. Chapter 1, May 1992, downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. The idea Jim had on a warm, early summer evening was to find the rumored place for after-hours dancing called The Path. Jim had just graduated high school, the proud class of 1992. He was headed next year. He was headed next year to Stanford, full academic ride, and he was really looking forward to getting out of the desert in a couple of months. He had been born and raised here and was excited about living somewhere else. Anywhere, actually. Jim stood barely 5'9", had long brown hair and a mustache he was doing his best to grow and mostly failing. Sharon, his girlfriend over the last 6 months, also now graduated, wasn't happy he was going so far away. He had been offered a scholarship at UNLV and had taken it. So between them, there was a tension of the coming spill. Sharon was actually taller than Jim, with long blonde hair and skinny legs that seemed to always be stuffed into jeans a size too small. She had also done some and light modeling, and as she aged, she just got oh my god. Sharon was actually taller than Jim, with long blonde hair and skinny legs that seemed to always be stuffed into jeans a size too small. She had also done some late modeling, and as she aged, she just got better looking. Jim had no idea what she saw in him, but they always had such a good time together. They had two hobbies, dancing and having sex in every place they could imagine or risk. Tonight, they were thinking of doing both at the same time. They had heard how really crowded the dance floor at the Path could be. Sharon had suggested, with a smile, that it might be fun to try a little fooling around on the floor while dancing. Jim was game if she was. With Sharon, he would try just about anything. Logic often never played a part. So they parked down on Paradise Road, about 2 blocks from the club, and heading down the sidewalk along the row of low warehouses, holding hands and laughing. The coming separation only a distant thing to ignore on such a wonderful spring night. The club had an entrance off an alley into a large warehouse, but until 2 days ago, on Sharon's birthday, both of them hadn't been 18 and old enough to get in, so they hadn't tried to find it. Paradise had street lights, and even though the area felt rough, both of them were native to the city and knew this wasn't a bad area. They were as safe as they could be at midnight in Las Vegas. Cars lined the streets on both sides, so they knew they were in the right area, even though they didn't know exactly where the club was. And between traffic on the streets, if they listened hard, they could hear the pounding beat of the music echoing through the one-story building of the area. "Maybe it's down here," Sharon asked, pulling Jim into the first alley they came to. Jim could tell at once they were in the wrong place, and then the smell hit him. The putrid smell of something rotten in the heat. It was a cloying smell that seemed to make the air thicker than it actually was, and filled every sense. It turned his stomach instantly. He knew it was a dead person. Instantly. He had smelled that before. He had no idea how police who worked around dead bodies ever got used to the smell. What is it? Sharon asked, stopping and covering her mouth and nose. After a moment, she started to back toward the street. Her eyes rolled and her skin pale. Jim stood his ground. He had been with two friends last year up on Lake Mead when they found a floater near the shore. He knew that smell. Someone had died. But there was no body in the alley. Just walls of warehouses. Not even garbage cans. He stepped toward one wall and the smell decreased. Jim, get out of there, Sharon said from the sidewalk beside him. He motioned to her that he would be all right. He would be right there. Then stepped toward the other wall, originally a stucco white stucco wall. It was now stained with years of grime and lack of paint that he could see even in the dark shadows, and the smell got much worse. There was no door in the wall, just a nearby high window that was cracked slightly. Someone was dead in that room beyond that window. He turned and went back to Sharon, taking her hand. They went around the front of the building, took down the address, then said, "We have a phone call to make." He could see a payphone a block away on the outside wall of a guy's grocery store. So he started off in that direction. "I thought we were going dancing," Sharon asked, scrambling along in her high heels, working to keep up with his fast strides. "We are," he said. "But we have to call the police first." Why?" she said. "That smell," he said. "You're going to report a smell to the police," she asked. "It was bad, but not a criminal offense, I'm sure." "I wouldn't be so sure of that," Jim said, letting go of her hand as they reached the phone, and he started letting go of her hand as they reached the phone, and he started digging into his pocket for change. "What do you mean?" Sharon asked, looking worried. There was one thing he really liked about Sharon. She was smart, and knew he was smart, so they trusted each other on a lot of things. "I've smelled that smell before," he said, as he dropped the coin into the phone and pushed 0 for operator. He glanced back at her puzzled expression. "Near the body I found at Lake Mead." She put her hand over her mouth, and even in the strange light of street, he could see she had lost most of her tan very suddenly. The operator answered, and he was connected to the police. He gave them his name, his location, and the address of the building. Then he said clearly, "I want to report a dead body."